Hi, and welcome to Danny After Dark. If you're new here, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss a notification or a new episode. Tonight will be part two in the two-part series of Luka Magnotta. So if you missed part one, go back and check it out so you're all caught up. And again, as you recall from last week, I'm not covering this case solo. I wanted somebody who is a Canadian expert, if you will. So let's go ahead and welcome back Clay. Hi.
Hi, Danny.
Well, thank you for coming back and joining me for a second week.
My pleasure.
All right, there's a lot to uncover. We have already talked about all of the horrific things against kittens and dogs, and I'm like disturbed.
Yeah, that was a little bit much.
A little much.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Well, we left off last week in a very interesting spot, so there's a lot more to unpack. So let's go ahead and find out more. Let's go ahead and dive on in. On May 29th, 2012, a package containing a left foot was delivered to the national headquarters of the Conservative Party of Canada. The package was stained with blood and had a foul smell. It was marked with a red heart symbol. A note was with the package that stated that a total of 6 body parts have been distributed and that the perpetrator would kill again. Another package containing a left hand was intercepted in a Canada Post processing facility addressed to the Liberal Party. Also on May 29th, a suitcase was discovered in a garbage pile in an alley behind an apartment building in the Snowdon area of Montreal. Mike Nadeau first noticed the suitcase in a large garbage pile on May 25th, but only opened it now after people complained about a stench in the air. There were maggots crawling all over the suitcase. The suitcase had a decomposing torso inside of it. When police searched the scene, they also recovered human remains, bloody clothes, papers identifying the suspect, as well as, quote, a sharp, blunt object.
Police got a lucky break because there were surveillance cameras inside the building. It showed a suspect bringing numerous garbage bags outside, and the images matched the suspect captured on video at the post office. At 11:33 p.m., police searched apartment 208 in that building. That apartment was being rented by Luka Magnotta. He moved in 4 months prior, and his rent was paid up to June 1st. The apartment was mostly emptied, however. Blood was found on different items that were left behind, including the mattress, the fridge, the table, and inside the bathtub. Inside of the closet in red ink was a sentence: "If you don't like the reflection, don't look in the mirror. I don't care."
Hmm.
On May 30th, 2012, the suspect in the case was identified as Luka Magnotta. However, by then he had fled. It was also confirmed that the body parts from all of the locations belonged to the same person.
Well, an arrest warrant was issued for Luka by the Service de Police de la Ville de Montreal, the SPVM. This was later upgraded to a Canada-wide warrant by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, known as the RCMP, and they accused him of the following crimes. 1. First-degree murder. 2. Committing an indignity to a dead body. 3. Publishing obscene material. 4. Mailing obscene, indecent, immoral, or scurrilous material. And 5. Criminally harassing Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper and several unnamed members of Parliament. May 31st, 2012. Interpol issued a red notice for Luka at the request of the Canadian authorities. His name and photo were displayed prominently at the top of the homepage of the Interpol website. The red notice requested that Luka be provisionally arrested pending extradition back to Canada by any Interpol member state.
Where was Luka Magnotta? He had flown from Montreal to Paris on May 26 using a false passport under the name of Kirk Trammell. His cell phone signal was traced to a hotel in, and I apologize for this, Bagnolet, but he had left by the time police arrived. Pornographic magazines and an air sickness bag were found in the hotel room. Luka had contacts in Paris from a previous visit in 2010, and police were following a large frame man who had been in contact with Luka. Another man Luka stayed with for 2 nights did not realize who he was until he had left. Luka then boarded a Eurolines bus at the Bagnolet coach station bound for Berlin. On June 4th, 2012, Luka was apprehended by Berlin police at an internet cafe in the, and I apologize for this, Neukölln district of Germany. He was there reading news stories about himself. He tried to give police fake names, but then finally admitted who he was. In June 5th, 2012, Luka appeared in a Berlin court, and there was sufficient evidence to keep him in custody until extradition.
That's just so narcissistic that he's sitting there looking up himself.
Yeah, that's spot on.
I mean,
bud.
who does he think he is? Danny After Dark? Jeez.
Just
All
carry
right.
a mirror.
On June 5th, 2012, a package containing a right foot was delivered to the St. George's School, and another package containing a right hand was delivered to the Falls Creek Elementary School in Vancouver. It was confirmed that both packages were sent from Montreal. June 13th, 2012, the 4 limbs in the torso were identified as Lin Jun using DNA samples from his family. June 18th, 2012, Luka was delivered to Canadian authorities in Berlin and flown aboard a Royal Canadian Air Force CC-150 Polaris to Mirabel International Airport north of Montreal. A military transport was necessary due to safety concerns with using a commercial flight and potential legal difficulties if the plane was diverted to another country. Luka was placed in solitary confinement, and I'm going to butcher this, at the Rivière des Prairies Detention Center. Sounds right.
It's about as close as I would have gotten it. June 19th, 2012, Luka appeared in court by video link and pled not guilty to all charges through his lawyer. June 21st, Luka appeared in person at a high-security Montreal courtroom to request a trial by jury. July 1st, Lin's head was recovered at the edge of a small lake in Montreal's Angrenon Park after police received an anonymous tip. And on July 11th of 2012, Lin's body was cremated and his ashes were buried on July 26, 2012 in a Montreal cemetery.
March 11th, 2013, the preliminary hearing for Luka began. The evidence presented was subject to a publication ban. You know, that is something I've noticed about you Canadians. You guys have a lot of publication bans, need I say. Just wanted to point that out. We don't got that in the US. Luka's defense team requested the media and the public be barred entirely from the hearing. However, this was rejected. Lin's father, Lin Duran, traveled from China to attend the hearing. March 13, 2013, expert witnesses testified, including a forensic pathologist, a forensic toxicologist, a forensic ondologist, I don't know how to say that, a bloodstain analyst, data recovery specialists, and an internet investigations officer. The prosecution also displayed video evidence. Both Luka and Lin Duran physically collapsed at separate times during the proceedings. In addition, one of Luka's lawyers resigned due to possible conflict of interest.
That sounds like a nightmare case.
Yeah, I'm wondering what that conflict of interest was.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't find it though.
To find that.
Yeah.
April 12, 2013, Luka was indicted on charges of first-degree murder, offering indignities to a human body, distributing obscene materials, and using the Postal Service to distribute obscene materials and criminal harassment. September 8th of 2014, jury selection began. There were 8 women and 4 men. On September 15th, the trial for Luka finally began. The trial featured testimony from 66 witnesses from 3 countries. Luka admitted to killing and dismembering Lin Jun, but he tried to use a mental disorder to be found not criminally responsible for his actions. On December 23rd, 2014, Luka Magnotta was found guilty of first-degree murder in the death of Lin Jun, as well as several other charges. He was sentenced to a life sentence with no possibility of release for 25 years.
Wow. I was still holding out for the death penalty because of the kittens.
They don't do that here.
Oh, gosh. Well, the lawyer representing Lynn's family read an emotional victim impact statement from Lynn's father in court. Quote, "In one night, we lost a lifetime of hope, our futures, parts of our past," end quote, he said. Quote, "We do not want to tell our story because it's too sad to repeat. We cannot talk much about Lin Jun without talking about his murder. The murder has robbed us not only of Lin Jun, but our ability to think and talk about him without feeling pain and shame," end quote. The Lin family lawyer also said Luka Magnotta missed his opportunity to express any remorse or offer an apology for his crimes. Speaking for Lynn's father, quote, "This doesn't give him closure. This doesn't give him pleasure. This doesn't bring his son back," end quote.
And on June 26th of 2017, Luka is married in the Port Cartier Institute to Anthony Jolin, an armed robber who was sentenced to life for stabbing another inmate in the shower. They met through the website Canadian Inmates Connect. It's the actual name. We have that here.
Are you familiar with that website?
Not myself, no. Haven't spent much time in the prison system.
That's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, in December 18th, 2019, Netflix premiered the documentary series Don't Fuck with Cats, Hunting an Internet Killer. That's probably where a lot of people recognize the name Luka Magnotta. And that is the case of Luka Magnotta. Do you guys have any questions or comments on the case? Leave it down below. This was a wild case. It had everything. It had cruelty to animals, and you could see his escalation of his crimes just from beginning to end. Absolutely sad. And then he found love in the end. What an ending.
It's a story.
Well, thank you again for sticking around for another episode of Danny After Dark. Until next time, remember, we don't live in darkness. Darkness lives in us. And thank you again, Clay, for joining me for this episode.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Danny.
Bye.